Hey everyone, I'm PJ Dudek. I'm a sci fantasy author, and as part of my channel, I am doing a summary of the entire book of Dune, and we are on to chapter 21. This one gets really exciting, really interesting. Stick around to hear more. All right, let's get right down to it. So, in this chapter, Vladimir Harkonnen is wreaking havoc. And what do I mean by that is the traitor, Dr. Yua, he has the Duke immobilized. Paul and Jessica have basically been sent away to be eaten by worms in the desert, although we know they escaped. And Harkonnen's about to set up a new role under Peter, and that is his mentor. But Peter is kind of a mouthy little person, and Harkonnen is not very happy with this guy. So, what I find out is Harkonnen actually plans to make the entire planet of Arrakis hate Peter so much that they want him ousted, dead, killed, whatever. And then he's going to put his much more beloved Fade Ratha in command. So, very interesting as we got a lot of this internal monologue from Harkonnen himself. So the chapter kicks off with Dr. Yua coming in, and Harkonnen is like, well, you did your job. Now you're going to get your reward. And what is poor Dr. Yua's reward? He gets to be reunited with his wife. And how does Harkonnen reunite him with his wife? You can probably guess. He kills him. So Peter actually is the one that kills poor Yua, who you do feel pretty sad for in this because, you know, the guy was just trying to reunite with his wife. And I guess, sure, he betrayed everyone in the process, but he's presented as a pretty sympathetic character. After this happens, the Duke is brought in and he's pretty doped up right now. And Vladimir wants to wait for the Duke to be coherent so he can brag about all of his greatness and what he did to basically take over the planet again. Eventually, the Duke is brought into Vladimir's room. We'll say there's a table in there, and Vladimir's at one end. The Duke's somewhere relatively close to Vladimir. And if you remember from one of the previous chapters, Dr. Yua gave him this tooth that when the Duke crunched his teeth together, it would break a capsule and then create a bunch of poisonous smoke. So I really liked the anticipation that was built in this chapter as the Duke starts coming to his senses more and thinking about what Yua had told him. Remember the tooth, and of course he does remember the tooth. So you're like, is he actually going to be able to complete his mission and kill Vladimir Harkonnen? Of course, the book didn't foreshadow, just flat out told you that this wasn't going to happen. So I was surprised when I was like eagerly anticipating, wondering would it happen or not. I guess that's, a sign of some pretty good writing. Eventually the Duke does come to his senses enough and gets close enough to Harkonnen before Harkonnen's about to leave the room that he clenches his teeth together and emits this plume of smoke. And unfortunately, Vladimir Harkonnen, because he had a shield, it slowed the molecules or whatever from the smoke from killing him, and he was able to escape just in time. But Peter, who by now you as a reader pretty much absolutely hate, he bites the dust. And I'm like, no love lost there. And pretty much everyone else in the room, a number of guards and so forth, die as well. So outside the room, Vladimir's starting to feel a little bit nervous because he really messed up. Should have known, or his people should have known that the Duke had this poison tooth, but he didn't. And then a Sardaukar comes in, he's like, I need to make sure that, the way you killed the Duke was humane, which is interesting. But apparently the Emperor, who really orchestrated this whole takeover by the Harkonnens, and because he felt threatened by Duke Leto, he still had enough respect for royalty that he wanted the Duke to be killed in a more basic way and not tortured. And that's what Peter actually wanted to do. He wanted to torture the Duke like crazy. And Vladimir Harkonnen was about to allow this to happen before the Duke bit the tooth and the dust. Anyway, so Vladimir, knowing that there's really no way out of this, he was going to look weak. He lets the Sardaukar, and that's like the royal guard of the Emperor, go inspect what happened. And outside the door, as the Sardaukar is doing this inspection, Vlad's feeling pretty down on himself. He's stressed out, and you just find out like really how terrible Vladimir Harkonnen is. Apparently, he has how do I put this? People he uses for his pleasure against their will, basically people he captured, and he wants one of them brought into his room so he can de-stress. So he's a pretty disgusting person, and I'm leaving this chapter eager for Paul to get all Fremenified, if that's a word, because I do know how this story ends. And I will say the writing continues to impress me. It's definitely drawing me in even more than the movie did. And I really enjoyed the movie, to be clear. But when we get to the part where Paul has to actually, confront some of the big bads, I think it's going to hit home even more in the book. So onward to the next chapter. As a reminder, I also have a book out, Song of Imru, Earth's Door. Book 2 will be coming out in 2026. I've actually finished it, first draft, and I'm going through the revision processes, so very excited about that. More information and links below. Take care. Bye.